the bell.
Well, here we go. Every time Sam Solomon steps into the ring, he sets a new record for most rounds boxed professionally in boxing history, topping the likes of Bernard Hopkins and Floyd Mayweather Jr. in terms of longevity. This is history, Mark the Hammer Castellini and Gino Gambino, but Jesse White is a man who is out for revenge. He didn't see the result going the way it did last time with Sam Solomon winning. He feels he was perhaps too respectful to Sam Solomon, and tonight this is a win he wants to get back and get his career back on track.
Well, we spoke earlier about it, Seb, with Jesse White. I think in the first exchange, perhaps showing a little too much respect. You know, he was probably in awe of being in the ring with Sam Solomon. And I think tonight we might see Jesse approach this fight a little bit differently. And obviously he's been around with Sam, so he knows what to expect. The one thing that Solomon does is that unorthodox movement that is just so hard to read. And Jesse may have a better plan tonight.
Here we go. White in the gold and white trunks. Sam Solomon in the black with white trim.
We were blown away with the excitement of last time, Seb. We watched that main event. We really thought that was probably one of the best fights of the year. And now we get to see a replay of it. I have a feeling you're right. I have a feeling that Jesse's probably coming with a different game plan. He probably was a bit starstruck. Sam Solomon, he's a god in this business, and now he's stepped in the ring with God for a second time.
Well, Sammy Solomon, of course, a cast of thousands in with his ring entrance. It's great to see. All and sundry coming in, carrying the many, many, many title belts. And little known fact, obviously, Solomon had a great kickboxing career as well before he turned his hand to boxing. So he's been doing it since he was probably 16 years of age and younger. You know, in the early days, training with the likes of Dave Hedgecock, travelling overseas, having some great battles. So he really has done it all, Sam Solomon. And as you said, Seb, the king of stats. Every round he fights is another round in the record book of boxing.
Unbelievable record. When I can reveal this, gentlemen, I've been doing some investigative journalism, and prior to the last fight between Jesse White and Sam Solomon, White, for a medical reason I'm not at liberty to disclose, was forced not to engage in any sparring for the 4 weeks immediately leading up to the fight. There was an injury sustained 4 weeks out. It was something that affects his balance, but the reason he doesn't want to reveal it, well, maybe you'll get it out of me by the end of the broadcast, because he doesn't want to be seen to be making excuses.
There you go. He's a tough boy, Jesse White, with Igor Pochev in his corner. Of course, from Lions Den Boxing, Derrimut, solid camp, solid crew.
It's a huge learning curve. Last time for Jesse White, he stood in the ring, he went to the end. Yes, Sam Solomon came away with the victory in the results base, but Jesse White stood his own, and now he's going to say, you know what, maybe I can take it to him.
Not hanging there, keep punching, come on, keep punching.
A lot of people watching from Western Australia supporting Jesse White, his mum Verge, and on a rather emotional level, Hammer, yesterday was the birthday of Jesse's father, Russell, who is no longer with us. So that's given Jesse plenty of motivation this evening.
Yeah, a bit of fire in the belly for Jesse White. But it's at this point, as I'm watching the action unfold in the first round, it's the ever elusive Solomon that's still not there for White to hit. It's just he's having a problem nailing the target.
And just on that point regarding Jesse's late father, you can see Russell on the back of the truck there. In tribute to his dad. Round one in the books, Hammer.
We've drawn our raffle, ladies and gentlemen. Your winning ticket is purple E82.
Just
your second prize, purple E47.
Mentally going through the action of that first round.
C88, so purple
Maybe
E82.
just give it the way of Solomon. I think he landed a few shots. Jesse White just wasn't able to pull the trigger as easily as he did in their first battle. So now it's time to go to work with Igor Pochev in the corner there, in the blue corner, and give Jesse a little bit of insight as to what he should be doing, because I feel Solomon really confounded him in that first round.
Look, looked like Solomon was a little bit unsteady on his feet. I've got to be honest. There was a couple of movements there. I was like, what happened there? It seemed to be weird.
Yeah, you know what? That's Sam's style. He does that like sort of drunken monkey style of fighting.
Exactly,
Where he throws his legs and it looks like his head, but it's just his footwork.
And it's really different to watch. And we've seen it before with other fighters in the past. And honestly, that throws you off as someone who's not watching boxing as religiously as Hammer. You think, hold on a second, something's wrong.
No, that's just how Sammy's footwork. His legs sort of wobble and shift at a very unorthodox manner. It's been the trait of his entire career. Look at that right hand from Solomon. Just caught White going in.
And now the King stalking. The
He's caught back. Takes a knee. That's going to be a count. Oh, it's just calling it a slip. But they're both
interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but Jesse White opens up now. They're caught up in the ring.
There might just be a little bit of water or something down in that corner. Both men had a bit of a slip. They've got to call
time out while they fix the ring ropes. That's for a start.
Bit of repair.
So okay. But geez, they both got caught in that exchange or that round, or this round. Again, White looking to get the right hand away. And Solomon's going to do this now. If Sam has been caught with something, you can bet he's just going to roll his arms. He'll get under the shots and he'll just hang on to Jesse. He caught Jesse with that right hook as well, Solomon. So they've both had their moments. And again, Solomon gets a solid right hand away.
He's landed a few more early than he did in the first contest, Sam Solomon.
Yeah, he's coming with his chin up a bit, but only Sam Solomon can get away with this style. There is no other fighters in the world that I've seen being able to fight this way and get through a bout.
Yeah, we're seeing a very different matchup to what we saw the first time these two men met. And it feels like that White's just a little bit rustled by it all. He's gone, hold on a second, this is not what I expected.
He said today, Jesse White had a quick chat with him this afternoon. He's obviously busy with preparation, but he never felt such an awkward opponent as he had when he fought Sam Solomon back in December.
That's going to be, you know, many opponents of Sammy would say, they'd say exactly the same. You know, even Sammy Solomon fought Mundine back in the day as well, so that was just an interesting battle. Mundine being really orthodox and Sammy being Sammy. You know, he's one out of the box. He's a special one. And I don't think there'll ever be anyone like Sam Solomon in boxing. This is his own unique style that only he can do.
But to Jesse's credit, he says one thing he learned from the first fight with Sam Solomon is how to handle the exposure. He suddenly found himself, you know, main event, big crowd, a boxing legend on the other side of the ring, and so those issues are not factors this time around.
Absolutely. And I just see Jesse going in with his lead hand down, and I see Solomon looking for that right hook. So he's trying to catch Jesse White with that right hook. You'll see sometimes he drops that lead hand, and that's what Sammy, see that right hook right there. It's exactly what Solomon's looking for, and he's landing it, but probably just not with the power that he would like. In turn, Jesse's looking for that counter left hook. So he's trying to bait Solomon into that, going to his right to hit him with that left hook like that. So they've both clearly got a game plan. It's just going to be who executes it better.
2 rounds in, Victorian silver middleweight title on the line. He gave that first round to Sam Solomon. Hammer, as we take a look at the highlights, how did you see the second?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, the second. Second one, it's hard to pick clearly. I mean, when we're trying to call the action and keep score, it's a bit of an art. You're so focused on watching movement and strategy that I'm not scoring it as much, but they both sort of had their moments. And Sammy got caught. He could have got a count there, but Centre referee Malcolm Bullner decided not to count him. So maybe just the way of Jesse White, that one. Maybe.
Look, it is a very different fight to the first time. We saw some pretty incredible things, but this one's just been a little bit different, and I agree, Hammer. I think White maybe, but it can go either way.
It's just so hard, isn't it, to score, Jono? Especially when we're focusing on the actual calling the strategy. You don't look at the fight as I'm not scoring it as I go, as the judges do. I look at the movement and I look at the counter strategies more from a corner's perspective. As White lets a rolling right go, And again, with Sammy's footwork, it's hard to see if he's actually been caught or if he's just doing that unorthodox footwork that he does normally. Big shots from Jesse White.
This fight brought to you by CB Clothing.
Don't hang in there.
Looking for a retail quality blank garment to build your brand? Well, let CB Clothing build your brand.
Hands down.
Keep punching. Come on, keep working. Break.
Hands
break
down,
clean,
Solomon.
Break clean. Come on.
He's so confident in his boxing ability and his defensive movement is Solomon that really only he can do that. Put his hands down, have his chin up, and basically offer it up for the taking. But not many have been able to nail it cleanly. One charges in, does White. But Solomon uppercuts the hook combo. Feints back. That footwork. Circles to his left and then launches himself forward.
A little bit of tussle and hustle, some wrestling.
Come on, guys. Come on. Give me a glove.
And White's corner's not happy with that.
Give me a glove, Jesse.
Sam Solomon was the one coming forward. It was his momentum that brought White down. So Solomon at 48. Those close to him say he effectively stays in camp all year round.
Oh, plants and throws that right hand, does Solomon. He's caught Jesse a number of times with the right hook and the right straight right. It's not really phasing White. He's eating it.
Box.
But nevertheless, it's a scoring shot for Solomon. Pokes out the jab. Circles away, and then he'll launch himself forward. So Sammy's that back forward. He'll go back, draw the opponent forward, and then launch his shot onto him. So in effect, almost doubling the impact of him going forward and the opponent going forward.
Don't hang in there. Keep working. Keep working.
He's still got a great boxing mind, and he's able to land the shots when he can, Solomon.
Box.
So that's a credit to him, absolutely.
The pony boy who's become a king of boxing, Sam Solomon. Jesse White, main event action thanks to Pro Bellum and Team Ellis Promotions at the Melbourne Pavilion.
Poking the jab, Jesse White just stamps his lead foot forward and then tries to roll the right hand, full tilt power, but just unable to hit the elusive object that is Sam Solomon.
It is amazing you use the expression sort of the drunken monkey style, Hammer. It's almost like I find myself wondering how Solomon keeps his balance.
Yeah.
He looks like he's about to tip at any point, but clearly he's in control of that movement.
As I said, Sam, it's a style that is truly unique to Sam Solomon, and he's the only person I've ever seen with this style. And you know what? Some people like it, some people don't. You know, some of the traditional boxing purists, they're like, you don't do that. And, you know, they've all got it. Everyone's got a thought on it. But you know what? It's gotten Sam to where he has. And, you know, it's a fight. And you've got to do what you got to do to make your opponent frustrated and then take advantage of that. And that's what Sammy Solomon's done so well for so many years.
Well, they always say, Hammer, that to win a title, you've got to take it off the champion. And that's the challenge for Jesse White.
Absolutely. He's got to be dominant in his performance, Jesse White, in getting it. What do you think, Gino? How are you seeing this?
To be honest, I think White's doing really well. Yes, Solomon's landed some really nice counter punches, but White keeps bringing the fight to him. And that's where I'm seeing it. Again, very hard to call, a very different fight to the first time around.
Break. No punch. Box.
Victorian silver middleweight title on the line. Sam Solomon, the current holder. Jesse White wanting to leave tonight with a new accoutrement. That is a new piece of leather around his waist.
And I don't really think it's about the title for Sam Solomon. I mean, he's had a world title, so let's be honest about it. A state title is really not going to be what this fight's about for Sammy. The thing with Sammy is the personal challenge of getting in and just fighting. And he loves it. It's in his DNA. He's done it pretty much his whole life. And, you know, I don't think it's about the titles or the money or anything anymore. It's just about getting in there and doing something you love day in, day out for Sam Solomon.
He loves it. Loves his family as well. Son Samir, daughter Cleopatra.
Keep punching, keep working.
Many years, Maria.
And so many people have been following Sam's career, and you know, through the kickboxing days to the boxing. You know, even Eric Diamondstein, he wanted to shout out. There's the shout out, Eric. He's also a former kick fighter that had some good boxing battles and has turned his hand to training now. These people, you know, we've been around the industry and around each other for so long. And Sammy Solomon has kept going when a lot of us haven't, you know, myself included. So, you know, he's defining, he's age-defying, that man, Sam Solomon. The man in black shorts in centre ring right now.
Not the back of the head, Sam.
Blue corner saying that
not the back of the head.
White just took a shot to the back of the head and the ref agreeing. But again, White standing there and taking the punishment and trying to find an opening with Sam.
Well, you know, the last fight was what it was, but I'm actually enjoying this one more, gentlemen. Let me tell you.
Absolutely, I agree.
I think this one is actually more engaging and more entertaining, and they're really letting the leather fly. So a worthy rematch and a good one to have a look at right now.
Well, Seb and I were talking about it just this morning, saying surely they couldn't top last match, and here they are doing it, Seb.
Jesse White with so much to fight for. He wants to get that win back that he dropped to Sam Solomon 3 and a bit months ago. Still working him out as we approach the halfway point of this main event.
Right, break it up, don't punch, let him go.
You know, the thing is with preparation, Jesse's preparation with this would have been hard because you know why? Because there would be no sparring partners that you could get that could mimic Sammy's style. Very, very few could even come close to doing what Sam does. So even though Jesse would have had a lot of sparring and a lot of prep for this, still it wouldn't have been the type of prep you need to try and nail someone like Sam Solomon.
His head is just never where it was when you throw the punch. It's total movement, total body movement, up and down, rocking side to side.
It moves the positions that you wouldn't anticipate.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you feint and try and feed your opponent to move a certain way so then you can throw that counter shot. But you can feint with Sammy and he'll go one way and he'll do exactly the same move and he'll do something completely different next time. So you can't get a read on throwing your counters at him because he never does really the same thing twice.
Great crowd in here at the Melbourne Pavilion. Saw Jordan De Goey here a few moments ago. Collingwood Star, one of the best on ground, and their win over St Kilda this weekend. Speaking of footballers too, spies down at Sam Solomon's gym tell me that Sam's been training an AFL legend, two-time premiership player, Gino. A bomber, any ideas?
James Hurd.
No. Jimmy's up in Sydney these days. No. The great Mark McCurry.
Oh, wow.
Box, there we go.
Client of Sam Solomon's in recent days.
Might need to get him on the pretended to contender train.
Yes, get Merckx in the ring. Silky player Mark McCurry for the Bombers under Kevin Sheedy.
And now Jesse White just posting up that lead hand, trying to get a measure of where Solomon's head will be so he can plant the right hand. And also masking that right hand coming through as well. Now, quick reaction time. Seems Jesse White's stepped up a gear now. Probably not. The key for White, I think, gentlemen, would be don't worry about throwing the power. Throw the speed and the volume. Because what one or two might not hit, 3 or 4 may. So he's got to get up the volume, up the speed, and back off the power. Because the 1-2s, unless he's hiding the shot, it's going to be hard for him to land. Solomon will see the 1-2s, but the 3s or 4s he might weave into, actually.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of a combination from White. He's throwing a few good shots, but you're right, it's that follow-up that's not coming, and Sam Solomon's reading him as they do.
You throw a 1 or 2 shot at Solomon, and he'll slip him and move away from him all day, or in fact move in and under him and then tie you up. He loops his punches, and he'll go from a punch to a grab or a clinch up, Solomon, and then turn you and then break off. That's been, I suppose, his trademark move. So there you see him clinch up.
Okay, break.
And then he'll try and turn off and throw.
Let him go.
And we talked about the sort of height and reach advantage that White has, but it's actually the size of Solomon that aids this style, isn't it? That makes him all the more elusive.
He gets under and around punches really well. He's not shy to go engage. The thing is, most fighters will try and slip out or backward, whereas Sammy slips under and forward. And as he slips under and forward, he'll throw, and he'll turn that punch into a clinch turn you off and then fire again. That's really been the style like that. You see him throw, and the throw is actually if it doesn't hit, it'll turn into a turn off or a grab. Popping jab. Again, into the clinch.
Don't hold.
1-2, steps out. Clean and methodical is Jesse White, though.
Champ going up for Jesse White around the Melbourne Pavilion.
Don't hang in there.
You know, the thing for mine is I'd like to see Jesse White box like a traditional boxer, because I reckon it'd be a cracker fight, you know.
Watch your head.
This
Box.
Sam Solomon doesn't showcase Jesse White's great attributes of being a good boxer. He's making him miss. He's tying him up. He's not letting him float. But you know, let's see Jesse get up against a good, clean, straight puncher. It'll be a cracker.
Big body shot there from Jesse at the end. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we saw a different a matchup here. No, nothing against Sam Solomon, amazing boxer, but give Jesse White someone he can go toe to toe with. Different matchup completely.
Look, you can see how he's built. He's strong. He's aggressive. He's straight punches. You know, like we've seen in some of those earlier fights, some of the fights tonight have been absolutely sensational, you know, for boxing, strategy and skill. So, you know, Sammy Solomon is always going to turn the fight into a tactical battle that he wants it to be. He won't fight your fight. He'll make you fight his fight.
As we approach the 6th round of our main event, we'd like to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of tonight. Combat Chain, making combat sports better for all. Wow Hydrate, great sports water. Palmerbet, CB Clothing, Sports Safe mouthguards, custom made, professionally fitted mouthguards there from the specialists, and the Australian Boxing Central, the ABCs of Aussie boxing.
Once again, lunging in with a jab, Solomon. This White trying to march him down, isolate and identify the target is White, but Solomon gets a right hand away of his own. The fake from White.
Yeah, White was able to take those punches, and Solomon just said, "Okay, mate, give me another." He's not backing down, which is fantastic.
Look, I don't know if the stopping power from Sammy will drop off as the rounds progress, because the fatigue kicks in and you don't punch with as much power as the earlier rounds. So as it ticks down, the power won't be there, but the scoring will. So those looping shots, oh, nice shot from White. Big exchange, trying to land that hook. White thinks he can feint and hit Solomon with that right hook or left hook.
Okay, bring it up.
Sammy's hands are down and his chin's up, but he moves his head enough for him to be able to save the situation.
Yeah, spot on, Hammer. I feel like White has learned from his previous mistakes, especially now coming into the 6th round of 8. He's going, okay, well, this is where I need to be. This is what I need to do to score those points.
Savvy again going for the shoulder block, counter right hand. White just stalks forward. But he is mindful also of Sam's power, is White.
Keep working.
He got caught with something, a little bit of a flash shot earlier. So he's still mindful.
Break, step back and watch your head.
Even though Sammy throws the looping punches, they have deceptive power behind them, I believe. Lunges in 1-2, Solomon. White keeps walking forward.
Okay. Break,
Igor Kochev in the corner.
Don't punch on the break. Box.
Both fighters in terrific condition. Sam Solomon, I'm told these days, does a lot of in-water training, Hammer.
Absolutely, it's the best. Oh, look at that lunging right hand from Solomon. But yeah, absolutely, the water training is so good for your body and your joints. And you really, as you get older, you've got to think about all that stuff. Jesse rallying the crowd now. Igor Kochev calling Jesse to work the body. He's saying, I want you to work the body, but it's awkward, the awkward upper body angle of Solomon that makes it hard to get that clean body shot in.
Well, this will be fascinating.
Don't hang in there.
Presuming it goes the 8 rounds to see how the judges see this one.
Step back, let him go.
As it was the first time round. Neither side giving an inch.
Oh, left hook catches Solomon there from White.
You could hear the smack here at ringside, couldn't you?
Yeah, A much better round by White there again. I'm kind of giving it to him, Hammer. I'm leaning more to a White victory if it goes to points, but Solomon still is showing some great counter-punching.
Solomon's still landing those looping punches. He's throwing from angles, popping shots out. Just depends on whether the judges are sitting and what angles they're seeing, and if they're seeing the shots land. Look at Solomon looping that right hook over, and he's landed that a few times on White. In turn, White looking for the lead left hook. Shakes it off, does Jesse White. Solomon, the master of confounding technique and distance.
Right, seconds out. Stay in your corners. Box.
Round 7 of 8. Really into the business end of this fight now. How are you scoring it at home? So it is a difficult one to call. Solomon hands down, half squat position. Jesse White throwing the jab out. Again, it's been the game of cat and mouse the whole time.
Sam Solomon, of course, a stablemate of Johnny Van Wisser, who we saw earlier tonight. They've been training together in Brighton. Johnny once again scoring a first-round knockout to take his professional career to 2-0, defeating Scott Tresize, his opponent tonight. Well, it's a different challenge for John's stablemate Sam Solomon into the 7th of 8 rounds.
Right, keep walking there, get on 3, keep walking.
The West Australian Jesse White. White wanted this fight. He wanted the first one, he wanted the second one. He wants the notch on the belt. He wants the name Sam Solomon as being somebody he's dispatched of. It didn't happen the first time. Tonight, he's hoping to take the scalp of a legend.
Don't hold that punch. Okay, break it up,
Well,
break it up. Don't punch.
Absolutely.
Don't punch. Let him go.
In theory, it's all meant to work out that way. But in practice, we're seeing Sam Solomon do exactly what he did last time, be confounding. And in fact, I reckon Sammy's actually performing better this time than he did last time.
Yeah, spot on, Hammer. It looks like it gets to a point where, you know, White steps up to a certain bar and then Solomon goes, mate, I'll leap over it.
Absolutely. Solomon just, even though he has the style and the work rate that he has, it's still hard to work out, and I'm saying he's fighting better this time than last time. In turn, Jesse White also has levelled up, but unable to hit Solomon still cleanly.
Yes, well, I know I mentioned that those close to Solomon will tell you he's never out of camp, but my understanding, Hammer, again having done some digging, was the last White-Solomon fight came for Sam with just 4 weeks' notice. This one was signed just after Christmas, so Sam has known this has been coming for 3 months now.
Sammy's had a full camp. He's never really that far out of shape anyway, and that's potentially why I think he's performing even that little bit better today. He stepped it up here. He stepped it up, Sammy. He's getting older, but he's getting a little bit better. Big shots, looking to land that right hook. They've obviously predicted that Solomon's open for a right hook, and in turn Solomon the same. He's landed that right hook as well, so you know it's a real arm wrestle, this one.
Okay, don't hold, come on, let him go,
Yeah, difficult one to call, difficult one to score, a lot going on.
Time.
We didn't think they could top their last fight, but here we are, gentlemen, right now thinking this is almost match of the night for me.
We're going the distance. 8th and final round.
One round remains.
Well,
this one brought to you by CB Clothing.
I'm just thinking about the round. Sammy's still landing some clean shots. As you say, you've got to try and take the title off the champ. Not a lot in it. Jesse, nice. There's the body shot that Igor Pochev was calling for.
You're welcome.
One last chance for everyone as well. Here are the raffle tickets. Your winning tickets: purple E82, second prize E27, and third prize.
Well, Hammer, I can tell this one has been difficult for you to judge, because usually you know, you've got a pretty clear.
There's no definitive.
Things are going.
If I have to call it, I'll maybe go just the way of Solomon, but He's just landing those
All right,
shots on
Melbourne
weird
Pavilion,
angles.
behind both fighters, this is the 8th and final round.
And you're right how you characterise his style, because obviously judges look for aggression, and Sam, as part of his coming forward, goes back. So, you know, to somebody unfamiliar with his style, you'd think maybe he's running, but he's actually setting up.
He's setting up, yeah. You'll go back, and then you'll lunge forward like that. It does it repeatedly. Jesse, the crowd on his side. Could we see an upset? Will the judges be swayed by the massive crowd support for White?
What's the upset, Hammer?
Yeah, I was going to say by the crowd.
We got to say, as we said earlier, you got to take the belt from the champ.
True.
So has Jesse done that?
Yep.
I don't believe he has. I think it's been an even fight. So if it's going to be an even fight, Sammy retains the title.
Yep.
But Jesse needs to bring it on. And I've seen Sammy land some clean shots. I've seen Jesse land that that right hook and left hook. You know, they've had their moments. They've both had their moments, but nothing has been clean and definitive for me.
Absolutely well characterised by one of the best broadcasters in the combat sports game, Mark the Hammer Castellini. A fine fighter as well, but just has a great way of communicating what's going on inside the squared circle. And you're right, you'd think Jesse White, with 19 years younger than Sam Solomon, would have more in the tank for this last 2 minutes to just go for broke, Hammer.
Yeah, I think it's just got to see, there's the right hand again. So Jesse got caught with that counter right hand from Solomon, and that's happened a number of times. But he just has so much trouble in just unloading on Sam. And I think he's just got to do it. He's got to turn it into a street fight. He's trying to box someone that's not really a traditional style boxer. So Jesse's tactic is not working, and he just needs to turn into a brawl. Just brawl, just throw, and you know, keep the combinations going, and you know, the 1-2s and the 1-2-3s and the setting up the level changes and all that. It just doesn't work with Solomon.
Yeah, Solomon's definitely shown more fight in this round, and that might get him enough points to get him over. It's been quite a close one, but that's the experience. We're talking about someone who's been in a fight game. How many fights did you say before?
Number 65 professional stand-up boxing fights.
Incredible, and now that experience is coming through as White's starting to lose this in points in the final round.
Break clean, break, don't punch, break clean. Okay, box.
1 minute to go. Jesse White looking for the biggest scalp of his career in the king, Sam Solomon. Solomon looking to continue his legacy as one of the true greats of boxing.
Really makes the centre referee earn their keep, does Sam Solomon, when he fights. Clubbing right hand from Jesse White. He thinks he's done enough. Sam Solomon thinks he's done enough.
And we can't decide, Hammer.
We can't decide, because the judges will always make me look like a fool if I do.
Incredible stuff. I mean, you've got to say, White does look convinced that he's got it, doesn't he?
White's, you know, he's pretty sure he's got it. Solomon landed some good shots like that. He did land. Sammy did land some solid shots. Sammy tied him up. Didn't let White get some clean shots on in that last round. It's going to go to the judges. They're going to have the final say. And there's that clubbing right hand again from Solomon. He got some good shots away in that last round, Sammy. Jesse White just couldn't find the target cleanly tonight. But then again, many before him haven't been able to either.
Did Jesse White crack the code that is Sam Solomon this evening?
How are you doing?
All right, boys, put your names on the line. Which way is this one going? Gino first.
Yeah, White for me.
Hammer.
I'm going to call it that Sammy retains the title.
There you go. Our judges are split. How will the official judges see it?
Let's get a coin, because that's probably going to have
more luck than us.
Or a liability. Many standing inside the pavilion.
But as I said, Jesse White, I love his style. I love the way he fights. You know, Sammy isn't a fighter that's going to make Jesse look great. And I believe there's many challenges out there that'll make marquee matchups for Jesse. So look forward to seeing him more a lot more in centering, and obviously back on Team Atlas Promotions. Just outstanding. He's an outstanding competitor. But Sammy's never going to make anyone look pretty in centering. He fights his fight, and he fights it his way. Ultimately, it's got him to where he has been. So we'll see if it works for him again tonight, Sammy Solomon.
So both fighters have removed their gloves. Sam Solomon pumping his fists. John Demicoli is our ring announcer.
Please let both fighters to the center of the ring. The judges' scorecard to ring. Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of championship boxing, we've gone to the judges' scorecards. Your 3 judges scored the contest 77-75, 78-74, and 77-76. Declaring a winner via unanimous points decision. And still ABF Victorian Silver Middleweight Champion, Sam King Soliman.
Extraordinary hammer. History written once again. King Solomon reigns supreme.
Well, as I said, for Sammy, it's not about the